If you want to keep up to date with all things Kingdom Hearts and this channel, then make sure to subscribe with notifications on. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? My name is Prodigy, and welcome to another video on the channel. Today, guys, we're going to be talking about more of the Kingdom Hearts 358x2 Days Ultimania. It's been a little while since I last uploaded a Ultimania video, a little bit over a week, and that's mostly because I wanted to take time and kind of experience a little bit more of Days, re-experience a little bit more of Days on live stream, so I can kind of prepare myself, have a fresh mindset when we're going into scenario mysteries. Now, realistically, the scenario mysteries are not going to be nearly as long as the main Nomura interview, which took multiple videos, about 6. The scenario mysteries are going to be about 2 videos, including this one, potentially a third, depending on how I decide to split it up. But this is one of the final Ultimania videos for Days, and then in a couple weeks, probably 1 to 2 weeks, we're going to be moving on to Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, depending on how long it takes me to be Chrono Trigger on stream. But for those of you that don't know, the scenario mysteries generally are for the Ultimanias. Generally, they're the section of the Ultimania, the Nomura interviews, that cover more endgame stuff, more pivotal plot points, more pivotal story information, and generally just the type of lore that we Kingdom Hearts fans kind of eat up. Now, of course, since this Ultimania series is more so for nostalgia and kind of a look back at all these things in a retrospective sort of way, also potentially finding some cool little hidden gems in here as well. Some of these things people might already know about. A lot of you might already know about, actually, but it's still cool to see Nomura comment on some of this stuff anyways, and there is some things that Nomura hasn't talked about before, and it's pretty cool to kind of hear his opinion on some of these things. So without further ado though, let's go ahead and get along with the video, the scenario mysteries. The replica plan that was the key to this game, was it begun with Roxas's entry into the organization? No, earlier than that. Originally, Vexen was working privately to advance the research on replicas, but for the organization's goal of completing Kingdom Hearts of People's Hearts, they needed to use the Keyblade to recover hearts, so they switched to this plan of copying the Keyblade hero. As for who was or wasn't told about the replica plan, that depended only on their different missions. Xigbar wasn't told about it, but he seems to have found out on his own. Even in Final Mix, Xigbar was probing Xion about the Room of Awakening. He was investigating various things on his own. He will be talked about again in Birth by Sleep. That cutscene is probably one of the best Final Mix added cutscenes in any Kingdom Hearts game. That cutscene with Xigbar and Xion having that conversation. I used that cutscene in a video I made over a year ago, talking about hints about the epilogue, or hints about Blue Shoe, the sequel to that. And I mentioned that cutscene because that cutscene kind of shows, or it starts showing us little hints about how Xigbar, or Braig, or Luciu, 3 names, has a little bit more to him than what we were originally presented. He's a very peculiar character, and although he seems to be very nonchalant and kind of goes with the flow, he is extremely observant, and that has a lot to do with his entire being, his entire purpose essentially being to observe, to watch his Keyblade from afar. And he sure did that. And regarding the replica plan is another thing that is not talked a lot about in the Kingdom Hearts community. It's mentioned quite a bit in game, but we never really dive deeper into it. And I wonder why is that, because it's actually something that is very pivotal to a lot of Kingdom Hearts games, stories. In Kingdom Hearts 3, the entire reason the organization was able to function the way it was, why you're able to have people like Xemnas, young Xehanort, Ansem, and Master Xehanort stand next to each other, was because of the replica program. The entire reason that the Sea Salt trio, the Days trio, were able to even return in the first place was because you had vessels or replicas for Roxas and Xion that they could put their hearts and memories into. In Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, we kind of saw our first glance of the replica program, and we saw how incomplete it kind of was, but we saw a more refined, a perfected kind of version of the replica program in KH3, to the point where they don't just replicate, they can replace, which is very scary, and I wonder if like someone's going to be able to abuse that in the future. You could kind of say the organization already has in a way in KH3, but I wonder if anyone might go even farther with the replica program, because that's a very dangerous thing that was created. Although it gave us Roxas and Xion back, it can also bring people back like Xehanort, or bring people back like the Master or the Foretellers now. Definitely wonder what they're going to do with it. But continuing, Xion looked like him in Xigbar's eyes. So why did he also treat her as a girl? First of all, Xigbar didn't always see Xion as him. It's more like he appeared just at that moment. He always sees Roxas treating her as a girl, so he just goes along with that. There's no need to give Roxas doubts, and the way he called her Puchon from the start was just joking around, typical for a guy like him. Roxas and Xion collapsed several times in the story. Is this because of Sora's influence? Roxas has been existing closely with Sora from the start, and directly feels the influence of Sora's present conditions. Afterwards, that tendency appears in Xion too. The two of them are sharing Sora's power, so if on the one hand one of them gains a lot of power, the other's body weakens and they collapse. It's a relationship that is only practical if kept perfectly in balance. And then the Ultimania shows a little thing of all the incidents that happen with Roxas and Xion. Day 26, Roxas faints in order for the changes in Sora's memories to progress. Day 74, Xion becomes unable to use the Keyblade as a counterbalance to the power absorbed when Roxas awakens. In day 193, Xion, having been defeated by Heartless and gone to sleep, wakes up, then during a mission collapses, but soon gets up again. While she was asleep, Sora's memories continue to flow into Roxas due to the memories being reconnected. Day 297, Roxas faints, a result of going to Castle Oblivion, where Sora is sleeping, getting too close to his true form. It's really cool that Nomura mentions these things. It's a relationship that is only practical if kept perfectly in balance. And honestly, for the majority of Roxas's days in the organization, it was kept in balance pretty well. I mean, there were some hiccups here and there, Xion collapsing, Roxas collapsing, but their relationship was in balance throughout a lot of it. They were able to go on missions together, eat ice cream together without, freaking out for the most part. And when you kind of view it that way, it kind of shows how special their relationship actually is. Friendship's a pretty beautiful thing. Now for the last two questions. Why did Xion become able to use the Keyblade again on day 96? This was less due to her doing missions together with Roxas every day, and more due to using his Keyblade. She was able to once again copy his power. At this moment, the two of them were perfectly in balance. Elaborating on what I said earlier, Xion is in a similar position to the Riku replica of Chain of Memories, but unlike him, she is unaware that she was artificially created, and the path she finally chooses is completely different. The Riku replica was modeled on Riku. With Xion, she becomes like the Kairi of Sora's memories, but rather than saying she was initially created to imitate something, it's more like she was a special case, born primarily to absorb Roxas's powers and evolve. It was intended right from the beginning of development that Xion and Roxas would eventually fight, but we had wondered about how to depict the conflict with Xion that would lead to this. At first, I came up with a plot that would go like that of the Riku replica, where Xion would insist that she was the real person and fight with Roxas, but many of the staff were of the opinion that Xion should stay as a nice girl, so when we were changing the scenario, I rewrote it into its current form. I can't even imagine Xion being like, not nice, doing the Riku replica thing of I'm the real one. I can't even imagine that. And I don't know how it would have turned out for Xion if she was like that with Roxas, but I definitely like, that the staff suggested something else. Not everything's Nomura. Sometimes the staff, kind of has some good recommendations as well. Xion being my third favorite character in the series, top 3, definitely my favorite out of the Days trio. Her being the sweet, nice girl that she is, yet having so much tying her down in Days makes her character so much more interesting. Instead of basically basically rehashing the same storyline that they did with Riku Replica. They did a storyline where Xion, you know, actually does form a relationship, becomes her own person, similar to how Rox became his own person throughout like her days in the organization, eventually questioning more and more about herself, more than Roxas ever did, meeting up with Riku, basically betraying the organization for a small time period, and then ultimately deciding she wanted to, you know, return to Sora, thinking that's what was best, knowing what was right. All those events like took a big toll on Xion, and her character like had a lot more interest because of it, because it was a story that was a lot more unique rather than something that had been done before in the Kingdom Hearts series. But that's going to about do it for today's video though, guys. The next Scenario Mysteries video should be coming very soon. It might be the last one. Actually, I'm looking at these questions. Yeah, the next video is definitely going to be the last one. There's not too many more questions left. We got about 6 more-ish. No, we have 8 more questions. We have 8 more questions left of the Scenario Mysteries, and that will all be in the next video. So I hope you guys look forward to it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, share the video with a friend or family member, and last but not least, if you have not already and want to become a part of the union, all you have to do is hit that red little subscribe button down below. Today, actually, the day this is uploaded, I'm going to be finishing off my live stream playthrough of 358 over 2 days. So if you want to come in and watch that, see the finale to that, then I would love to have all of you there. But thank you guys for watching. My name is Prodigy, and I will talk to you guys soon. Peace out.